Lucius Septimius Bassianus, the guy we know as Caracalla, was born in Lugdunum, France on April 4th, 188 AD. This city, now known as Lyon, was a significant Roman settlement, bustling with activity and culture. It was a place where the seeds of his future were sown. He was born into a super-rich and powerful family, but there was a lot of pressure too. His family's wealth and status meant that expectations were sky-high. From a young age, Caracalla was groomed to carry the weight of his family's legacy on his shoulders. His dad, Septimius Severus, was a big deal in Roman politics, and his mum, Julia Domna, was really smart and ambitious. Severus was a seasoned military commander and a shrewd politician, while Julia was known for her intellect and influence in the imperial court. Together, they formed a power couple that shaped Caracalla's upbringing. Politics was the family business, and Caracalla was trained for power from the time he was little. His education was rigorous, encompassing not just the arts and literature, but also the harsh realities of military strategy and governance. He was taught to navigate the complex web of Roman politics with precision. He learned about war, politics, and all about his important ancestors. The stories of his forebears were drilled into him, instilling a sense of duty and destiny. He was constantly reminded of the greatness he was expected to achieve and the power he was destined to wield. But even as a kid, Caracalla showed some troubling signs. His intense gaze and stern demeanor set him apart from other children. He was often seen brooding, lost in thoughts that seemed too dark for his age. People whispered about how cruel he was and told stories about his bad temper. These whispers grew louder as he aged, with tales of his ruthless behavior spreading through the corridors of power. His temper was legendary, and his outbursts were feared by those around him. These early warnings hinted at the bad guy he would become. The shadows of his future tyranny were already visible, casting a dark pall over his early years. His troubled expression often betrayed the inner turmoil that would later define his reign. Caracalla's dad, Severus, was a tough general who fought his way to become emperor in a bloody civil war. The battles were brutal, and Severus's rise to power was marked by relentless ambition and strategic brilliance. Caracalla witnessed these events firsthand, absorbing the lessons of power and conflict. Caracalla saw all this violence, and it changed how he saw the world. The bloodshed and chaos of war left an indelible mark on his psyche. He learned that in the ruthless game of power, mercy was a weakness and strength was everything. He learned that power was everything, and you had to grab it and hold on to it tightly. This lesson became the cornerstone of his philosophy. As he grew older, his determination to seize and maintain power at any cost became the driving force of his life, setting the stage for the tyrant he would become. In 198 AD, when Caracalla was only 10, he was named Augustus, which made him co-emperor with his dad, Septimius Severus. This was a significant move, as it was meant to secure the dynasty's future and ensure a smooth transition of power. Caracalla, whose real name was Lucius Septimius Bassianus, was thrust into the political arena at a very young age. Severus did this to make sure his family stayed in power, but this also started a nasty rivalry. The decision to elevate Caracalla created tension within the family, especially with his younger brother, Geta. The brothers were now both in line for the throne, setting the stage for a bitter power struggle. Caracalla had a younger brother, Geta, who was also supposed to be emperor someday. Geta, although younger, was equally ambitious and determined to claim his share of power. The rivalry between the two brothers was not just a personal feud, but a political battle that would have far-reaching consequences for the Roman Empire. The two brothers, raised to want power more than anything, hated each other. Their upbringing, filled with lessons on leadership and governance, only fueled their desire for control. They were constantly at odds, each trying to outmaneuver the other in a bid for supremacy. Their rivalry grew worse and worse until they were openly fighting. The palace became a battleground, with each brother gathering supporters and plotting against the other. The tension was palpable, and it was clear that a confrontation was inevitable. When Severus died in 211 AD, everyone in the empire was nervous. The death of the emperor left a power vacuum, and the citizens feared the worst. Without Severus to mediate, the conflict between Caracalla and Geta was bound to escalate. Caracalla, now a young man, saw his chance. He tricked Geta and had him killed right in front of their mum. This brutal act shocked the empire. The murder was not just a fratricide, but a calculated move to eliminate his rival and consolidate power. The fact that it happened in the presence of their mother added a layer of cruelty to the act. Now Caracalla was the only emperor, but he got there by killing his own brother. His ascent to power was marked by bloodshed and betrayal. The empire was now under the rule of a man who had shown he would stop at nothing to achieve his goals. Rome had a new emperor, and everyone would be afraid of him for a long time. Caracalla's reign would be remembered for its brutality and the fear it instilled in the hearts of the Roman people. His actions set a precedent for the lengths to which one might go to secure power, leaving a lasting impact on the history of the empire. One of the most important things Caracalla did was the Antonine Constitution of 212 AD. This law made all free people in the empire Roman citizens. Before, only certain people were citizens, so this was a huge change. It made Roman society more equal, at least in theory. Historians still argue about why Caracalla did this. Some think he wanted more soldiers for his army. By making more people citizens, he had more people he could make join the army. Others think he just wanted more money from taxes because citizens had to pay taxes that non-citizens didn't. Whatever his reasons, the Antonine Constitution changed Roman society forever. Caracalla loved war. He wanted to be famous like his heroes, Trajan and Augustus. He started a bunch of wars, fighting against Germanic tribes in the north and the Parthians in the east. He was a good commander, brave and ruthless. But all these wars cost a lot of money, and his soldiers got tired of fighting all the time. Caracalla was also incredibly cruel. In Alexandria, Egypt, he ordered the murder of thousands of people. This horrible act shocked everyone, even the people who supported him, and it made everyone see him as a cruel tyrant. Caracalla, like a lot of Roman emperors, wanted to be remembered. He spent tons of money on big building projects. His most famous project was the Baths of Caracalla in Rome. These huge baths were amazing. They had libraries, gardens, and even a stadium. It was a monument to how great Caracalla thought he was. But this amazing building came at a terrible price. It took a huge amount of resources and money to build. Slaves and prisoners of war did the work, and many of them died. The Baths of Caracalla, even though they were beautiful, remind us of all the people who suffered so Caracalla could have his monument. Caracalla knew how important it was to look good. He used propaganda to make himself seem like a good ruler, not a tyrant. He said he was the protector of the people and that he kept the peace. He had statues and coins made that showed him as a strong and fair leader, but behind this fake image, Caracalla was still a cruel person. He didn't trust anyone and was always afraid someone was trying to hurt him. He had spies everywhere and killed anyone he thought was a threat. His propaganda couldn't hide the truth forever. By 217 AD, Caracalla was losing control. He was so cruel that even his army didn't like him anymore. He was also super paranoid and trusted no one. In the spring of that year, while travelling to Carrhae, Caracalla was murdered by one of his own officers, Macrinus. Macrinus and some other guards ambushed and stabbed Caracalla to death. His body was left on the side of the road, showing that even emperors can lose their power quickly. The news of Caracalla's death shocked the empire, and it meant the end of his family's rule. Rome became a very unstable and uncertain place. Caracalla is hard to understand. His legacy is one of the most debated in Roman history. Some people think he was a monster, and others think he made some good changes. The truth likely lies somewhere in between. He ruled during a very bloody time in Roman history, and he was a tyrant who was paranoid and loved war. His military campaigns were brutal, and his methods were often ruthless, but he also did some things that changed Roman society for the better, like the Antonine Constitution, which gave more people citizenship. This move was revolutionary, expanding the rights and privileges of Roman citizenship to many who had been excluded. Historians still argue about what to think of Caracalla. Was he a visionary leader or a despotic ruler? The debate continues. He was a product of his time, a ruler who learned to be cruel because that's how Roman politics worked. The cutthroat nature of Roman politics shaped his reign and his actions. He could be incredibly mean, but sometimes he was also practical. His decisions were often driven by a mix of personal ambition and political necessity. His story shows how absolute power can make people bad and reminds us that history isn't always simple. Caracalla's reign is a testament to the complexities of leadership and the enduring power of perspective. Caracalla's life was full of ambition, cruelty, and short-lived glory. He wanted to be remembered forever, both for his wars and his buildings, but his rule, built on violence and fear, eventually fell apart. People still debate about what he did, some good, some absolutely terrible. The baths of Caracalla, now ruins, remind us of his time as emperor. They show how great Rome was, but also how much people suffered because of Caracalla. His name, once whispered in fear, is now a story about the dangers of too much power and how people can be both great and cruel.